So, I do hear that the radical left is becoming a problem in Australia, especially like Sydney and Melbourne is where I hear the worst of it is with groups like Antifa Down Under. Like, can you weigh in at all for our non-Australian audiences? Because I hear they're picking up some steam.
I can't weigh in for Sydney or Melbourne because I've never set foot in those places, and I'm limited with media because I tend to avoid it. Though what I am aware of, there are some radical groups, and they would typically pop up in the capital cities rather than anywhere else. In the state I'm in, we're a more culturally conservative leading state. We I think every Queenslander almost like hates a greenie. We do have lefties up here, but it's interesting because when we go to the elections, there's always those few regions where they just know the Conservatives always going to get the vote. Doesn't matter who's running for it. So we're actually kind of like the opposite. It's funny how the further south you go, the further different the mentalities change. Melbourne is typically known, not Victoria, which is the state that Melbourne's in, but particularly Melbourne is a very what we would call greenie. I think you have a Greens party in the US. I'm not sure if there are similarities.
We do have a Green Party, but it's a tiny third party that nobody cares about, and those people just end up voting for the Democrats anyway.
So I like the point you just made there. Essentially, that's how the Greens Party used to be here, but they have grown over time. They're still a small party. Like, they're still smaller than our shrinking mainstream Conservative Party. But these are your extreme environmentalists. These are your pro-Islam, pro-gay. There is still some of that within the Labor Party, which is left wing. But the Greens are like the extremists of them, and they all pretty much reside in Melbourne. And so that's how I perceive Melbourne. So it would surprise me if there are Antifa people down there. There isn't as much of a conflict in regional areas, like, at all. Australia, we're very laid back. And
so you've told me.
And I would assume it's like this in any country. You're always going to have people who just want to give up on politics, and so it's definitely not as much. And our universities aren't as political as yours either. We do have universities that do have, they have the communist group, they have this, they have that. But that's really only found in the capital cities. My closest capital city is 3 hours away.
So basically, it's the same situation as here in America. That all your radical progressive leftists, they'll always be found in the urban, especially the coastal urban areas. But like the middle America, the working class parts. It sounds like similar situation with you. Like the urban areas attract all the crazies.
Well, you need a skyscraper, for that sort of that sort of mentality. It's I don't think it's nearly as blown up as it is in America. Like, we do have feminism and stuff here, but it's nowhere near as big. Definitely, part of that main reason is because we don't have as many people, but it's not as big as an issue. Like, we do have this pro-gay, pro-Islam thing, but it's not so much social justice warrior, if you know what I mean. That huge tension is not as much. It's much more subtle. And they try to bring in a new curriculum for, they called it safe schools, and it was about this anti-bullying thing for people who was gender problems and whatever. And
oh dear Lord,
was really bad. Like, it's like about chest binding and all sorts of different things, and they had the whole curriculum set up so people could, so students, like little kids, like 10-year-olds, would go online and watch gay stuff, like bad perverted things. But all these parents and families, like religious and non-religious, came out and protested they wrote letters to their representatives and whatever, and then they axed it across 2 states. And one of them is Victoria, which has Melbourne in it, so Melbourne's probably a bit upset about that.
Wow. I guess I can kind of see why Antifa Down Under is.
So it's subtle. It's there. It's nowhere near as much as the US, but it's not strong enough because enough right-leaning or just traditional leaning, whether they're left or right. Because in Australia, like the Labor Party is kind of split in its supporters. Like the supporters might be like your typical feminist, or they might be, I don't like feminism at all, I'm just left economically, you know. They're not anything to do with that. And that's the issue with Australia, because we're such a smaller nation. The major parties are such a mixed bag. And even though your leaders could be full-on socialists, that doesn't mean their supporters are, which is really difficult to work with. And yet the Conservatives are pissed off, so they're making up their own. Minority parties and whatever, and trying to fix it. And the lefties just sort of go, no, we have to have unity and everything. And then they find themselves getting confused. I don't know whether to be alt-right or not.
Oh gosh. Basically, America's actually not too far behind there. Like the Democrat Party has fractured, you know, the Republican Party is fractured. I mean, America's in such a strange political place.
Yeah, right-wing politics is really messy in Australia at the moment, because there's so many people calling themselves conservatives, but they all have different views. But the reason why they've started their own group is because they're not happy with the mainstream.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make amends, and it may take a few years. But hopefully we can prevent, you know, the weird left stuff that's happening at the moment in the West. One of our biggest issues is immigration, and it's not like a you know, Hispanic illegal immigration thing. It's to do with boat people and plane people, because illegal planes come in as well as illegal boats.
So basically, you're more akin to like Florida. You're more akin to Florida, where you can basically call illegal immigrants anger babies.
I don't know, but that's we have an issue with immigration before we have issues with anything else. Probably the second biggest one is, where's our money going? Is it going to Australia? Is it going to rich countries? And then, you know, I can actually call the whole social justice thing a minority. It's still one of the bigger ones, but it's one of the smaller ones, thankfully. That might change, especially people still trying to push the whole gay marriage thing. The government still doesn't know whether we should have a plebiscite or referendum on it. Everyone's trying to. Oh, it's so messy at the moment.
Yeah, I never hear much news out of Australia.
That's because you're the USA.
Well, no, I follow YouTubers and YouTube channels that give me my share of international news, and there is for the Rebel Media, there is actually this one guy from Australia there, but I actually don't hear much from him, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely aren't as over the top with our media in regards to politics as what the US is. Like when you had your elections, like we had more coverage over your elections than we had over our elections. Like your USA are like to be loud, and they're not gonna. And when you're loud, you can't really hear anyone else around you. And it was so much easier to follow your election than my own. You know, our campaigns go for 2 months and yours goes for 2 years. That's possibly one of the reasons why, because it's just so quiet to begin with. But because we're in so much turmoil at the moment, there's probably no clear message coming out of Australia right now. Everyone is trying to find a position, abandon something, prevent something. And I mean, it's true, we're awkward. I mean, you guys are awkward, but you've had your election and you're heading somewhere now, and things have changed drastically, so there's lots to hear about, but everything's just sort of, it goes here and then there, and that's Australia at the moment. That's probably why I don't hear much about it. You know, if we fall into recession, you'll hear about it.
Oh, okay, I get you. Generally, you guys just sort of keep to yourselves and have problems with figuring out what the hell's going on right now.
Pretty much.
Oh gosh. So on that note, what are your thoughts on Donald Trump? I'm curious.
Yeah, I've written out some things here.
I'm very curious because I don't get to talk to many foreigners about the God Emperor.
So I don't, as far as I know, it's not American, so I'm doing my best here. As far as I know, I support mostly the Republican Party, I think. I have to, I kind of approached your own election like as if it was an Australian one with the Westminster system. Because over here, we don't vote for who leads the party. We only vote for the party. The party figure out who their leader is. And so when we do that, we have to consider, who might be elected into the House of Representatives, who might be in the Senate, who might be this, who might be that, who's going to be their advisors, whatever. And so I was looking at your Republican Party as a whole, and whilst I prefer Ted Cruz, I went, Ted Cruz is probably still going to get his seat. He will still have to work with Trump. You still have all these other Republicans that Trump has to work with. So whilst Trump is very boisterous and he can say some very immature things, he's going to have to work with people who are different from him. So that instantly was like, fine. I'm like, okay, I'm okay with that. But I think America needed, and it's something that Australia needs too, and lots of the conservatives in Australia are saying this as well. We need a figure like Trump because he is so loud and he's so straightforward, and even if you can't agree with everything and you think he might be too immature for the job, he actually does have a lot of experience, and his network is a trustworthy network, and he's smart. Even if you don't think he's smart, he knows his business. Like I said, he's got a good network, and so that I put trust into. Does that cover everything?
No, I get you. I get you. I mean, obviously, you said so yourself. You're not as well versed in American politics, and I honestly don't expect you to be. No, I'm a proud Trump supporter. And again, on the border, you'd think that'd kind of be a crime. There's actually a lot of Trump supporters down here who have to be secret Hispanic Trump supporters because their families would totally disown them. But I loved the fact that he actually addressed the immigration problem, where so few presidents or even candidates in recent years have even dared to touch, and the economy and terrorism. Even if again, yeah, he may be a little bit, a little bit crazy and unhinged. I'm not gonna lie. I was a Ted Cruz person too, but Trump was my second choice because for me, Cruz could be more focused, but he could still kick your ass in a debate. I've seen Ted Cruz debate. He's polite, he's classy, but he can show fire and anger and shoot you down and shoot your stupidity down if he has to. But and I won't lie, I was kind of worried at first when Trump made the nomination. But the more I saw that he was just saying what was on his mind, I'm like, you know what? American politics needs this. We need this whole damn system shaken up for once.
Yeah, and that's what I think is. I was so glad he won because it was like this relief. You kind of go, finally, something's actually going to be done. And him versus Hillary. Sure, Trump is quite outspoken and for good reason. But do you want someone who's honest, or do you want someone who's deceptive? And how many people have come out now against Hillary who've worked close with her or Bill, and they say they're just crazy people.
They are. They're absolutely malicious, evil people.
It's good that Trump is showing his true colors. Who are like, okay, I can put up with that. You don't know what are the Clintons hiding. And so when it comes to that comparison, of course I would prefer Trump over that. In Australia, when we did have media coming from your elections and the campaigns and everything, we got a lot of Trump. we didn't get much Hillary. We got a lot of Trump. The majority of Trump was negative stuff. And it was the same thing over and over again. It was him insulting someone, doing this, doing that, doing that. You know, all the good things he was saying, they weren't showing that to us. And so I have to deal with so many Australians here who are only used to watching one channel of news and whatever. And they go, I hate Trump, hate Trump. And I'm like, you've already heard this much from him. There's this much left. You know, when we barely heard anything about Hillary Clinton. And again, like media likes to talk about negative things. And so really the only thing we heard from Clinton was the email thing when it first started, but we didn't hear anything following up from it. You know, they want to follow up Trump on his tax scandal, whatever was going on, but they don't, it's like there was nothing from the other side. And so over here, they're very trying much to get into people's minds that it's a very bad thing that just what happened to the US, even though they had about 3 channels televising the election and just showing him win. I watched that thing live. That was exciting.
That was glorious. That was glorious.
And then I was watching like all the compilations of things on YouTube afterwards about all the TV presenters getting upset. And they're like, even if Trump wins the swing states, he won't win. And it's like, are you sure about that?
Insert the video moments of him being like, wrong.
You are fake news.
Dude, I love his war against the media. I absolutely love it. They have deserved it for decades, and it has pissed me off that no presidential candidate has gone as whole hog as he has. Honestly, it has been beautiful. And especially like they've been going full feral, full animal. They've been showing their true colors, especially with this whole CNN doxing situation. You know, this shows that the media have isolated themselves in their own little bubbles, completely oblivious to the majority of America. They think that all of America thinks the same way that New York City and Los Angeles does, when none of us want a damn thing to do with them or their culture. They ignored our problems. 8 years of Obama, and America was worse off. And it's funny because middle America came out in droves to vote for him. You know, they thought he was going to be the great hope of America. I mean, I was smart enough not to believe that. But the rest of America, finally, you know, 8 years and a bunch of empty promises. And, you know, people were like, you know what, screw you. You know, you can call me a racist all you want, but I'm going to vote for, you know, I don't have a job. I can't afford your elitist, you know, your coastal elite morality. I can't afford that. My factory is closing. I'm losing my job. You know, I can't feed my family. And that's what it came down to, was economics and immigration. So yeah, I mean I can criticize him on a couple of things so far, but honestly I like a majority of what he's done.
Yeah,
you know?
And he's followed through like almost instantly, like all those things he signed, you know, within days of office, and he got rid of it all, and people were like, he's doing it. I'm like, well, that's what he said he was going to do.
Yes, the media reported the president is doing exactly what he said he'd do. When's the last time any media outlet ever reported that about a politician? When's the last time a news network or any news media said, current politician doing exactly what's said?
Have you seen that recent, you just mentioned CNN before, have you seen that recent Pray for CNN video where he's talking with Trump?
Which one?
It's just Google Pray for CNN, and there's a Trump and Putin in front of the press, and then Putin leads over to Trump and he goes, are these the guys who've been telling lies about you? They're doing the fake news. And then Trump goes, yeah, these are the ones. And then Putin starts laughing his head off, and then they put it in the back and they're playing scary music like he's about to wreak havoc onto CNN. It's so good. It's so funny. You'll find it on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
That's it, because I recently had the World Leaders meeting in Europe, and it's from one of the things there.
The G20.
Yeah.
Oh, and this whole Russia thing is so stupid. There was never any proof for it. They're pushing it because they know that they've been blown out of the water. I'm not kidding. This entire election cycle, they lost the House. I'm sorry. or okay, with the past few years, they've lost the House, they've lost the Senate, they've lost governorships, they've lost mayorships, they've lost the presidency now, and now they're beginning to lose the Supreme Court. The Democrat,
Yes.
the Democrat
Yes.
Party has been blown out of the water, and they are desperate to find any
What?
dirt they can.
What about the recounts they've had? So they had one for Wisconsin, found out that there were people voting illegally twice or from dead people.
No, here's
And
the
then
problem. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. In America, voter fraud has been a problem for like decades now, and they
Right.
always vote Democrat. We have a tendency to have, especially states or cities or that have lax or no voter ID laws. You'll have a lot of votes tallied as Mickey Mouse. Not even kidding. You'll have dead people voting. You'll have people voting twice. You'll have people with fake names and fake social security numbers voting. You'll have foreigners voting, and especially with the Project Veritas videos, where they actually got DNC members to admit that they bust people around to vote multiple times. It's funny. In some of these recounts, I mean, there's some states that didn't get recounted. I would have loved to have seen the result. But the whole, she won the popular vote. First of all, I don't believe that, because I'd love to see how many millions, because don't forget, it was a very narrow margin, only 3 million more to Hillary's credit.
Sure.
But imagine if you
it's
cast
got less than that. I could be wrong.
Well, yeah, it's like I don't know. Maybe.
It's minimal, yeah.
Yeah, but again, what if you were to if someone were to go in and take out all the illegal votes, and they actually recently went in and counted all of the illegal votes from the 2012 election, and it was something like 4 or 5 million. Imagine if similar numbers were this time around.
And that's optional voting. That's not even people being forced to vote. Like, we don't have optional voting here. Everyone has to vote.
Wow.
And so we're probably going to have an even bit, well, we have ID stuff, like they have to check it off. And I think for the most part, they're pretty good on that. But you're always going to have those few, that section of people that vote and they either have no clue or they don't care. And it's like, they're putting like this information down and, but Mickey Mouse, yeah, that's crazy. That's terrible. Like, how do they not check up on that? And what about the people counting the votes? Surely they just throw them in the bin. No, we'll count it.
No, it's because a lot of the people who are the election clerks are bought off, like they're owned by,
How though? Like, surely.
It's amazing. It's amazing how political corruption works, isn't it? It infects the most innocuous and even the most sacred of places.
I was talking about the Australian response to the election and everything like that, and some of my co-workers were like pissed off because they're like, you didn't even win the popular vote. We have a constitutional voting system here too. Where you have, is it constitutional? Is that the right word? No. What am I thinking of?
Mandatory.
No, I think, is it constitutional? Yeah, where you vote like per region sort of thing, and then it's like the majority. It's like House representatives. If you've got so many things, you get the seat, right? And that's how Trump won. So it was called constitutional. I'm getting words mixed up here.
Well, the even if, and that's what I mean, is even if she had technically won by some miracle, the problem is that popular vote is not a good metric to go by. There's a reason why why there are no pure democracies in the world. We are a republic, because the founding fathers knew for a fact, and they were looking to Europe, seeing that
constitutional. Sorry, I was thinking electoral for some reason. We have an
electoral
system.
Electoral.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the electoral college is in place, because
I don't know. I was thinking constitution. Anyway.
Yeah, there's an expression referred to as tyranny of the majority, and what that basically means is that by logic, most people are going to be in urban centers, cities, major cities.
Right. Yeah.
And they'll be thumbing their noses, as the urbanite snobs that they are, at the far less populated rural, agricultural, and industrial areas. So think about it. All a candidate would have to do is to kiss the ass of the urbanites, and boom, sweet landslide election.
Essentially, we have a very similar system here as well as you guys do there, and it's for that reason, so that it's not, you know, all concentrated in those capital cities who don't know anything about, you know, the actual working class. And there were people in Australia complaining. They're like, he didn't win the popular vote, he only won the other thing. And it's like, okay, well, first of all, not only do we have a system very similar here in Australia, so you're an Australian complaining about a system that you already have, but that's how US has always had it. All the Democratic leaders were elected like that. Why not this Republican? What, you crazy? Like, you're trying to reason with him.
In a nutshell, it's little security nets like the Electoral College, or like the fact that the Senate gives 2 senators per state, no matter what their population size, whereas the House gives the number of congressmen by population size. You know, the eventual compromise that they came up with when writing the Constitution was to give small states just enough power to be able to override the big states if necessary.
Yeah, so it was an equal playing ground.
Well, not completely equal. I do agree that the majority should have a little bit of extra power over the minority, but not so much so that they leave the working class, middle America, middle Australia, middle wherever out in the dirt. Yeah. So there's a reason why I don't put a lot of stock into popular vote, because you realize that 70% of the population is located in like 3 cities in America.
Exactly.